Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs for short, are a vital part of our food production. With advances in technology, researchers now have the ability to select for uncommon and specific favorable traits in which they can present in a wide scale of plants and foods. Although GMOs could be the solution to many food problems on the global scale, they are still one of the most controversial parts of the food production system. This controversy could be the result of lack of knowledge about their benefits and safety. Because the general public knows little about what genetically modified organisms are and how they're created, we plan to educate. We first asked some students about what they knew about GMOs. What's a GMO?
Genetically modified organism.
A genetically modified organism?
Genetically modified organism?
Genetically modified food.
Genetically modified organism? I have no idea what a GMO is.
Genetically modified organism.
GMO. You know, I actually, it's a funny story. Red Sox GMO was absolutely terrible the past 3 years, getting rid of all of our big players, you know, Theo Epstein.
Can you give me examples of GMO?
Like tomato at the grocery store.
Corn. Soybeans that don't need pesticides because they're genetically engineered to repel insects.
They just made this new apple, I think, that doesn't ever turn yellow or something.
Maybe GMO corn or other GMO vegetables or meats. No, because I don't know what GMO is.
So how big of a role do you think GMOs play in your daily life?
Probably a big role. Probably more than I know.
I would say I eat them like on a daily basis.
Oh, huge role.
I think so. A lot of the foods we eat could be genetically modified organisms.
I guess a big part, because I don't know how much of it is in food, I guess. Or like not a big part? I don't know.
They probably do. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what it is, so.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten any GMOs?
Probably.
Yeah, they're in most of our foods.
No.
Have you ever eaten a GMO?
I don't think so. No, just said pasta.
What? Oh no, gross.
Probably.
I think almost all the foods I eat probably have GMOs in them.
Again, I don't know what it is, so I don't know.
You know how GMOs are created?
No.
No. Not really.
I'm not entirely sure.
No, I don't know the process exactly, no.
Genetic engineering, I can't tell.
About like selectively breeding plants, right?
I just know that they put genetic information that's not necessarily supposed to be there in it, and then we eat it.
You think GMOs are harmful to your health?
Probably in the long run, yeah.
I mean, it's food, so I'll eat it, but maybe.
No, I don't believe that it makes any effect. It just makes the food grow better.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's too soon to tell. I don't think it's been long enough with GMOs to figure out if they're harmful or not yet.
I think so.
Why?
Because
No.
Well, considering you're asking me this question, I'm going to assume they are harmful to my health. And I don't like them. I really don't like GMOs. Like, they really shouldn't be in my food. Like, the FDA needs to approve. It's got to make sure that I'm healthy because, like, that's what they're there for. My tax dollars go to the FDA so they can make sure that my food is safe. And I'm not okay with them putting all this in my food that, like, is just going to kill me. Like, what? Does it give me cancer or something?
After hearing the responses from those we interviewed, we found out that there was a general lack of knowledge about what exactly GMOs are. Most people knew that they were found in food, but many had no idea about how they are actually created. First, we should explain what exactly a GMO is. The term genetically modified organism refers to an organism that was developed through the use of genetic engineering. With this technology, genetic engineers can combine genes from different organisms, selecting for more favorable traits. For example, an engineer could take an antifreeze protein gene from a polar fish, introduce it into yeast, and have it produce the proteins in large quantities so it can be added to ice cream to prevent ice crystal formation that negatively impacts the ice cream's texture and taste. In agriculture, genes from the same plant species, another plant species, or a completely different organism can be inserted into the genome of a new host plant. Thus, there are conceivably infinite numbers of ways that plants can be modified to better serve our needs. There are two popular methods currently used to transfer foreign genes into a plant. The first delivery method is with the use of the gene gun. The gene gun method can be used on plant tissue culture cells or seedlings, and it works by shooting DNA directly into the plant cells. To do this, microscopic gold particles are coated with hundreds of copies of the gene to be introduced. Since gold is a heavy metal, its particles act as bullets and are shot into the plant callus. A callus cell culture is a mass of cells taken from plant somatic tissue. Because of this, they are undifferentiated and can be grown into a whole plant once the new genes are inserted. The tissue cultures are placed in a vacuum chamber, and the metal particles are propelled with a high-pressure gas and shot at the callus cell. Once the particles are inside of the nucleus of a cell, the genes dissolve off of the gold particle and have the potential to insert themselves into a chromosome. When the new gene inserts into a chromosome, the chromosome's DNA separates without replacing any existing gene, and because the new gene is now part of the DNA, it can be passed on to its offspring. The second method for gene transfer in plants is the agrobacterium mechanism. Agrobacterium is a plant pathogen that uses gene transfer to cause tumors in plants. It has the ability to transfer DNA between itself and the wounded part of the plant, and for that reason is very useful in genetic engineering. To use its mechanism, first, the plasmid that contains the tumor-inducing genes is disarmed, and the genes wanted to be expressed are inserted. The plasmid is then placed into the agrobacterium using heat shock or electroporation. The plants are then inoculated with agrobacterium using a scalpel to wound the leaf of the plant. Agrobacterium then attaches to the cell wall of the plant and transfers the special DNA portion that contains the genes one is selecting to the host. The genes are then randomly inserted into the host genome. The living plant tissue is further cultured on the agar plate under sterile conditions to form a callus. This undifferentiated mass of cells can be cultured to select for only the plants that have been transformed. The results are genetically modified plants that exhibit the gene of interest. So what are the major differences between the gene gun and the agrobacterium mechanism in the creation of genetically modified plants? The gene gun technique is more commonly used for monocot species of plants, such as rice and corn. The agrobacterium method has been successfully practiced for dicot plant species, such as soybeans and tomatoes, but in the current years has been effective in monocots as well. The agrobacterium method is considered preferable to the gene gun. This is because of its greater frequency of single-site DNA insertions. This makes it easier for the engineer to monitor the transformations and therefore leads to a higher success rate. We have just explained the most common methods for performing plant gene transfer, the gene gun and the agrobacterium mechanism. So what types of crops are engineers currently working on? The most commonly genetically modified foods include corn, cotton, potatoes, soybeans, rice, and canola. However, not all of these crops are officially on the market yet. Factors such as growth properties, ripening, herbicide resistance, insect resistance, and virus resistance are all manipulated through genetic modification. In the United States, 95% of sugar beets, 94% of soybeans, 90% of cotton, and 88% of feed corn are genetically engineered. Also, about 90% of the papayas grown in the United States, all of which are produced in Hawaii, have been genetically engineered to be able to withstand the ring spot virus. Without the genetic modification to withstand this virus, all Hawaiian papayas would have been completely wiped out. These high percentages of genetically engineered commodity crops mean that it is almost certain that everyone has eaten a genetically modified organism at least once in their lifetime. Some may argue that the genetic modification of foods may have unforeseen negative consequences. Advocates against biotechnology claim that GMOs may produce high levels of dangerous toxins, cause an increase in allergies, or have a lower nutritional value when compared to that of their traditional counterparts. These common misconceptions are easily refuted by a plethora of research. Data compiled over 2,000 studies show that there are no proven consequences of GMOs on health. Before a GM crop can be officially introduced to the market, it must undergo a long process of safety and benefit analysis. For example, if an engineer discovers a donor gene that looks promising regarding an increase in nutritional values, but this gene has been linked to an allergen, the FDA would object to its use in a crop plan. Or, for example, if a gene modification would result in a decrease in nutritional value of a traditional food without modification, it would have to be labeled and could not be sold as an equivalent to the conventional food. Safety and nutritional assessments are taken very seriously for genetic modified species, and to ensure the safe consumption of all food. Even with all the studies and evidence proving that GMOs are in fact safe for consumption, the public is still weary of the use of GMOs in their daily food consumption. This fear of GMOs has been capitalized on, as many food production companies and one restaurant chain now offer GMO-free options. For example, the popular Mexican restaurant Chipotle has recently announced a GMO-free campaign, meaning that they will no longer be using GMOs in any of their food products. This came as an extremely shocking and significant announcement, as Chipotle is the first national restaurant chain to use ingredients that are free of these safe, yet still controversial, genetically modified organisms. Many of the food production companies that offer GMO-free options include Blue Diamond, Honest Tea, Kashi, Kettle Chips, and Kirkland Signature Organic at Costco. For those who are still weary of these safe, genetically modified foods, these companies can easily be identified by looking for the non-GMO product verified seal, which indicates that each of these products went through a separate certification process. Another simple way to avoid GMOs is by buying certified organic or USDA certified organic, which cannot intentionally include any GMO ingredients. With all this being said, it is safe to say that GMOs are not dangerous to human health. Because of their overall benefits in food production, they are becoming an increasingly important staple in the average person's daily food consumption.